So welcome to the Office of Educator Effectiveness and Leadership Development's annual teacher webinar. We're really glad that you can make it. To orient you to your controls, there's a chat window on the far right-hand side. For now, if you could introduce yourself to the room by typing in your name and district, you might give a shout out to teacher friends that you didn't even know were going to be here who are all the way across the state. If there are multiple people in your room, please let us know that as well. We're trying to take roll as former teachers here. And so if you've got a group of teachers, we'd love to know how many are in the room with you. And we're really glad that you made the time. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to use the chat feature to share your reactions and to pose questions to your colleagues in the virtual room. We do really value your voice, but for now we have muted your mics because we were a little worried about the number of participants. But that doesn't mean we don't want to hear what you have to say. We're just going to take that feedback through the chat box. If you want to test your microphone and speaker on your own for later when we do open up for questions, you can click on the meeting menu in the top left-hand corner and scroll down to Audio Setup Wizard, and it will let you set up your mic, test your mic, set up your audio without any of us in the room having to hear you there. On the top gray menu, on the far right-hand side, there's a person with a hand raised. You can use the options below to update your status, to give the speaker feedback on volume, pace, or content. So if I am going too fast, you can click the little rabbit. If we are going too slow, you can click the little turtle to let us know. At this point, if you haven't introduced yourself yet in the chat box with your name, district, and role, we would love to know who you are, and especially if there are other people there joining you. And then Linnell, I'm going to enable your microphone if you've got your hand raised, if there's a question you want to ask right off the bat. Linnell, was there a question you wanted to put out there to us to start? Hi, Linnell, go ahead. And if that question is not working for you on the mic right now, feel free to type it into the chat box and we'll move on. If you want to try one more time, Linnell, we'll linger before we keep going. Well, thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we jump into our agenda, we'd love to start with your voices. As we look at what's working and what's not quite working yet in the South Carolina Teaching Standards process, is there anyone in the room who could tell for me what are some things that we've seen in the chat box so far, some trends about the South Carolina Teaching Standards process? I'm seeing from LaShonda, I like how we have mentors and resources to help us along the way. They're really helpful as a first-year teacher. We had someone earlier say as a first-year teacher that helped. Anything else we're noticing?
Yes, I've had several people say they love the conferencing. They love to have the opportunity to interact with their evaluators and to get that feedback.
And I've seen as far as what's not working yet, there's some people who are feeling like SC Lead took a little bit of getting used to. It's a little bit hard to print when you're in there. And then I'm seeing people talking about it's a little bit difficult to, it's hard to learn the tool. It's a cumbersome learning process, or even some individual classroom issues like the evaluation process is what it is, but I'm seeing issues with classroom management in my school. So we know that all of those issues hit upon expanded adept. Before we get started, now that we've looked at some of those answers to questions 1 and 2, we'd encourage you to keep typing your questions in as we go. Faye is on the chat and she's working to respond as well as she can, and we'll stop periodically to get questions as well. But first, I'm excited to introduce you to our team. They're each going to hop in front of the camera to say hello, introduce their name, their role here at the SCDE, and one of their favorite subjects or courses that they used to teach when they were a teacher. So I will get out of the way and let everyone come by and say hello.
Hi, Julie Hartwell. And when I was in the classroom, I loved teaching tech prep math because I got a chance to work with my students in labs, math labs, and to really make learning come alive for them. So that was my favorite topic.
And Dr. Hartwell, what do you do in our office?
I work with SC Lead, so I'm very interested in any comments you have to improve the process in the chat box. And I also serve districts in the PD region.
Good afternoon, all. I am Kimberly Howard, and I work with teacher evaluation and effectiveness here at the SCDE, and I also support induction and mentoring throughout the state. As a teacher, I love teaching fourth and fifth graders writing. I love seeing them tap into their internal authoring skills that they didn't know they had.
Hi everyone, I'm Beverly Flythe and I am the Ed Prep Program liaison in the office. And my favorite subject to teach was English 1 Honors, and that was because of the rich literature that we embedded all those standards in. And so that is one of the things that I miss about the classroom is the rich experiences that you can bring out with literature. So.
Hello everybody, I'm Vicki Troffler. I'm the PDEP coordinator here, and that is the Principal Evaluation System. So I train superintendents, I coach principals, and I also support the ADEPT process here as well. My favorite subject and really my favorite grade in teaching was second grade, all subjects, and love the thematic teaching that second grade offers.
All right. Good afternoon, South Carolina educators. My name is Rodney Evans, and my role here at the South Carolina Department of Education is SLO support. My favorite grade that I taught was second grade. I really enjoyed that grade because at that level, students became a little bit more independent, and I enjoyed getting them started off with their educational career. So we look forward to you sharing any thing that you need for us SLOs, and we want to make sure that we do what we can to support you with the SLO process here in the state. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Faye Colley. I am an education associate with this office. I serve ADEPT regional support for the upstate region, and I also am the contact for communications and professional learning for our office. With regards to my favorite subject, it was social studies, favorite grade, fourth grade, but favorite position was as interventionist.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that is our team. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. My name's Lila Toll Monsager, and I'm the director in this office. And I am so lucky. I wake up with a smile on my face every day because I work with the folks you just met. They're an incredibly talented and passionate group of educators, and their passion is for supporting teachers and making sure that you have the resources and the support you need to do well. So that's why we're all here. We'll jump right into our agenda next to give you an idea of what you can expect today, but we'll start first with our why. We believe that evaluation is all about growth and development. Continuing to grow educators to grow students is what we're about every day. In our profession, you don't survive for very long trying to be perfect. And the best teachers realize that reflection is key to staying motivated and best serving our students. ADEPT, if you didn't know, if you weren't there back in the day, stands for Assisting, Developing, and Evaluating Professional Teaching. We didn't pick those words just because they make a nice acronym, but we do know in education we love an acronym. Giving assistance and feedback on development are actually necessary parts of the evaluation process. We don't think you can evaluate without first assisting and committing to developing. Why are all of these educators in the room here? Honestly, we believe that ADEPT is one piece of a puzzle that can help every student in South Carolina have access to highly effective teachers and highly effective leaders who are always learning and who know how to maximize student growth and readiness for college, career, and life. We're idealistic enough to believe that including timely feedback and a common language for instruction like the South Carolina Teaching Standards can support our teachers' retention. And we're also realistic to know that it's hard to do that, especially in the first year of implementation. So we're here to support districts, schools, and teachers that need help making the ADEPT process meaningful. And so that's why we're here this afternoon, to clarify what the state's expectations are and to gather your questions and feedback on how that's actually all playing out for you in your local context. As far as an agenda, our team wants to focus on 3 main topics today. First, an overview of the expanded ADEPT evaluation process for classroom-based teachers and special area educators. Second, information that's available to you in our online system, sclead.org. And finally, getting your input on how we can best continue to gather your feedback on making the evaluation process meaningful for you and your colleagues. All along the way, if you want to add questions in our chat box, we'll try to answer them as we can, and we'll pause periodically to address some of the questions that have come up. But we really welcome you, and we're so glad after a long day of teaching, you've taken time to join us. We're going to start looking at the ADEPT process with my colleague, Dr. Kim Howard.
All right, so as Lila mentioned, the slides that follow will focus on the ADEPT process. All right, so as with our previous teacher evaluation system, the expanded ADEPT system has 4 domains. Professional practice is now measured in 23 indicators and 4 performance levels. Remember that with the SCTS rubric, evidence is not solely based on teacher actions, but also on student outcomes. To gauge teacher effectiveness, multiple sources must be used, including lesson plans, observations, and conferences that allow for timely feedback. Evaluation teams may request student work from observed lessons to support SCTS indicator ratings. SLOs will continue to inform instruction and will serve as a modifier with the potential to increase or decrease a teacher's overall evaluation rating by 1/4 point. All data related to educator evaluation can be managed in the state's data management system, sclead.org, which we will discuss later in this presentation. So this slide provides you, it highlights for you each element of the rubric. So the first thing you'll see are our domains, and our domains are our big buckets, and the domain that's highlighted here is instruction. In each domain, there are several indicators. The indicator you see here is standards and objectives. The descriptors describe what performance looks like at each level. And then finally, there are 4 performance levels, and these are the biggest difference from the APS standards. Evidence from the lesson will result in an indicator level rating of 1 to 4, unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary, as you see highlighted here. And here you see overall snapshot of the rubric. It displays all 4 domains and 23 indicators used to determine evaluation ratings. Evidence for planning, environment, and instruction are captured via lesson plans, conferences, observations, and student work. Professionalism is scored in isolation at the end of the evaluation cycle by the building administrator or the administrative designee. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Rodney, who's going to share with you some more information about this evaluation cycle.
All right, thank you, Dr. Howard. Moving right along. All right. The evaluation process occurs in the 4 steps displayed. The pre-conference represents a time where the evaluator and teacher come together to address plans for the targeted lesson. It provides an opportunity for the teacher to communicate the goals of the lesson and clarify aspects of the lesson. The evaluator has the opportunity to discuss the upcoming lesson and ask questions to get an understanding of what he or she will observe. The observation allows the evaluator to collect evidence of both student and teacher behaviors that impact the outcome of the lesson. During the reflection phase, the teacher and evaluator both get the opportunity to analyze the observed lesson in preparation for the post-conference. The teacher will self-score the lesson at this time. The post-conference allows the evaluator to provide critical feedback to the teacher based on evidence collected during the lesson. At this time, the evaluator presents one area of reinforcement, which represents an area of strength, and one area of refinement, which represents an area of growth. Educators at different contract levels receive differentiated support, whether induction, annual, or on a continuing contract. The South Carolina Department of Education sets the floor, and districts may choose to go beyond the recommended amount of observations. Pre and post conferences are required for all first semester observations. Second semester observations are unannounced with a post conference. Mentors do not conduct evaluations, but provide support and feedback to teachers based on observations, thus preparing you all for the evaluation cycle. All right. Prior to beginning the evaluation cycle, all teachers must be oriented to the evaluation process. During the preliminary cycle, teachers may or may not complete SLOs as the time frame varies by educator. If the teacher does complete the SLO during this time, he or she will have the SLO conferences accordingly. Teachers will engage in the pre-conferences, be observed, complete self-reflections, and engage in post-conferences with evaluators. During the final cycle, teachers will undergo observations, complete self-reflections, and participate in post-conferences. Teachers will engage in a final SLO conference if applicable. Also, the building administrator or designee will complete the professionalism domain. Some districts have opted to complete professionalism in both cycles, but only the final cycle professionalism rating will be calculated into your overall final result. Final scores will be calculated based on ratings in both the prelim and final cycles. Districts have the option of using a consensus or average scoring approach for different educator contract levels. If your evaluation is based on the average approach, ratings will be calculated as an average of the observation scores shared with you during your post-conference. If using consensus, your evaluation team will meet to determine a rating for each indicator in instruction, planning, and environment. Thus, in addition to your post-observation conferences, you will have a meeting at the end of the evaluation cycle where your scores are shared with you. All right, SLOs. A big shift from safety to our current SCTS 4.0 evaluation system is using artifacts as evidence of student experience versus teacher planning. We do not want to create extra paperwork for you in the form of long-range plans or unit work samples because you're already monitoring data and reflecting on process as a part of everything else that you do. The new system focuses on student growth rather than proficiency. It also honors teachers' professionalism and expertise in how you all respond to specific needs of your students. Our new evaluation system also gives you all a choice versus relying on summative measures or value-added measures only. At this time, we will stop for any questions that you may have.
So far, you can say, Rodney, we can be in the same place. So far we have a few questions. The first is, we could just cuddle up right here together. The first question is, will there be additional changes in ADEPT? So the teacher evaluation model at this point should be pretty stable. We've worked for 3 years now to train people and to gather feedback on what those rules should be. So we don't expect that there'll be changes to the teacher evaluation model, but there may be changes to other ADEPT models for special area educators. The second question is how to incorporate the SLO. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Does that mean how it affects scoring, Faye?
So, the question was, you can stay there, we'll huddle.
We'll
We're
huddle,
close in
yeah.
the office. So
Okay.
the question was primarily somebody made a comment about they have a background in statistics and they feel that this is not an easy thing to incorporate for those who do not. So I think we have to give some clarity that this does not require you to have a statistics background. This is something that you have to make a local measure that is tied to your what you're teaching in the class. So no need for that, but we can go further with that.
Sure. I mean,
Explanation.
Rodney and Faye, correct me if I'm wrong. Both of y'all have written SLOs
Yes.
in South Carolina before.
Correct.
You've
Mhm.
assisted teachers who have
Absolutely.
written SLOs
Absolutely.
before. Essentially, without a statistics background, you know a power standard that's important for your students to learn throughout the year. You've got to pick a couple multiple measures for how to assess it. And that's not a requirement, but we recommend that because some kids are going to get it on the MAP test. Some kids are going to get it on the assessment that you give. So you might want to use multiple measures for how students are going to grow. And then you want to set a target that's reasonable. So based on looking at that baseline and trend data, how much do you think is reasonable for students to grow in that standard? And which students do you need to push to which place? So that student learning objective should really be about you reflecting on data that makes sense to you, not reflecting on data that doesn't make sense to you. It should be something that you care about that will help you reflect on how your students are doing.
And Lila, an additional SLO question that was asked was
Sure.
if it's going to be incorporated in the process. So we are actually pushing for that. That should be some student work should already be embedded in this process of the POP that you're already doing. So we're not having things in isolation. So we're going to put some clarity that that is an expectation because it is also ultimately part of your evaluation score.
Absolutely. When we train evaluators at the State Department, we encourage them to bring up what a teacher's working on for SLOs during those observation conferences and to integrate that work in. We also had a question around inter-rater reliability. I'm a little worried, sometimes this concern comes across, that my evaluator might not be as well trained in the rubric, or maybe I get an easy evaluator and they give me 4s, but someone else had a tough one and they got 2s. All of our evaluators in South Carolina have to be trained at a 3-day training, and they have to pass a test where they watch a video and they have to get a range of scores that we've set as reasonable. So there should be that initial quality check for people understanding the tool. We have about an 85% pass rate, and if you don't pass, you have to take the exam again until you pass so that you can evaluate teachers. But also, we encourage districts to do activities for inter-rater reliability. So we do have videos available so that teams can watch a video together and check on their scores. We also encourage people to go out into classrooms together as teams so they can check in that way. Finally, there was an individual question about certification in the box, and I just remind you, our expertise is more in evaluation than in certification, so you can always contact certification at ed.sc.gov if you do have those specific certification questions. But we thank you for your time, and now we will shift our focus to our next section.
All right. Thank you all for all those great questions. And now we'll have Beverly come and talk to us about special areas. Thank you.
Hello again. Special areas are still evaluated, and our next slides cover that. As a reminder, school counselors, media specialists, and speech language therapists are not evaluated using the SCTS 4.0 rubric. They are still on SAFE-T. We will begin the process of revising the evaluation of the special areas soon. Before we begin a revision process on any evaluation tool, our office firmly believes that we have to reach out to the stakeholders, the people who are evaluated, to find out what their needs are. Using that data to help us determine what revisions are needed, if any, we can move forward with a thoughtful process for revision. We're in the early phases and change doesn't happen overnight, as we know, and it shouldn't for very good reasons. Whenever our office is considering making changes that influence districts or schools and their evaluation policies, we start by gathering feedback from job-specific stakeholders, organizations like SCASL, and district-level human resource leaders. Then we work with districts, education preparation providers, and statewide partner organizations to nominate an advisory group who will provide additional feedback and help with the drafting process. That group will then share the draft guidelines and with HR leaders and stakeholders before the guidelines are submitted to the state board for approval. After state board approval, our office will make sure that districts and special area educators have access to training and resources to help support the change. Only then, after thoughtful, coherent process is implemented that involves many hands, minds, and hearts, would the new evaluation tool be implemented in South Carolina. Many special thanks to all of our library media friends who have already completed the survey that we sent out previously. If you have not had an opportunity to do so, please feel free to do so now at the link embedded in this webpage. We now encourage anyone to make their voices heard. That includes the school counselors and the speech language pathologists. And now for SC Lead.
Thank you so much, Beverly, for the update on our special areas educators. So sclead.org, what is SCLEAD? It stands for South Carolina Leadership, Effectiveness, Advancement, and Development. It is a database management system that is used for the evaluation process to either facilitate it or document it. It could be used for educators that are classroom-based, special area educators, and also for principal evaluations. So just to be clear, the use of sclead.org to facilitate the evaluation is not a requirement. However, the use of sclead.org for reporting mandatory data is required. What are those mandatory data? That includes like the induction count, or at the end of the evaluation cycle, it will be reported what your final results are. So what you see in front of you is an example of an evaluation history. So all educators can access their evaluation history using sclead.org. And how do you do that? In order to do that, you can go ahead and log in, and on your home dashboard, on your left, you will see on the top navigation bar, the Evaluations tab. So when you click on that Evaluations tab, you will see this list, the image on the right, of all the evaluations that you have had in the past, or even the current evaluation for 2018-2019 would show here if your district chose to facilitate the evaluation process using sclead.org. So another way that you access your evaluation is starting from your home page. You want to click on the right side where you see the View Full Profile. So when you click on that, you will see this image on the right populate on your screen. So then you will see, again, a historical record of all your evaluations. So the point here is, even if your district does not choose to use sclead.org to facilitate evaluations, you may want to use sclead.org so that you can see your own records and have access to what has been reported to us at the state level. Now, if your district chose not to use sclead.org to facilitate, you will still have access to these records. However, there's going to be a difference in the level of details that you will see. So as an example, if you click on the details, on this screen, you will see two images. On the left-hand side is an example of an evaluation record for 2018-2019 for an educator, in this case, Teacher 2 at Howard 1901 School District, from an elementary school. You will see all the components that are associated to this evaluation record. And this is for a teacher that's on annual 1 level. So you will see that an orientation was required of this teacher, student growth and professional goals were required, as well as observations and professionalism. In this case, it shows that all these components have been fulfilled. So you see 100% in all these. On the right side, you see an image that is an example of an evaluation record for a speech therapist for 2018-2019, also an annual one. So the components that you see on the left are different than the ones that you see for the teacher, the classroom-based teacher. So for this one, you will see that the orientation is required, a summary, and some attachments could be used. So you may click on any of these components on the left. Like I said, it might be different, the level of details that you see. Okay, for example, for the speech therapist, this therapist might choose to click on where it says summary. So there'll be two kinds of summary, the preliminary and the final evaluation summary. So for this one, it shows the evaluation summary for the final one, and it's stating exactly what the speech therapist got for all the APSs. And if this person chose to click on results, the image on the right corresponds to what details he or she could see. So for example, you will see that it would show overall this educator has the MET, and you will see the recommendations for this educator for the following year. Let me go back to that one. I wanted to make notes on this evaluation results. So the evaluation data is due to us from the district on June 20th, 2019. However, districts have submitted their ADEPT plans, and conferences have to be done before May 1st. So if you have a question on like the date, why it doesn't match up, you can verify what the calendar is on what the dates are on your ADEPT plan from your district. Also, if you have questions with these results that you see, please make sure to contact directly your evaluation chair and administrator. Next up is the Professional Learning Library in SELead.org. So this is a free resource that is available to you. This is another reason that regardless if your district is using SELead.org to facilitate evaluations or not, that you should use it. Truly, this is a very powerful tool that you can tie to your growth as a teacher. So the district or your evaluation team can assign you professional learning videos, but you can choose those videos as well for your own professional growth. It truly is very easy to use SELead.org professional library. Once you log in, you will see a library that is tied around the rubric. If you are a principal, you can also see a list that is tied around the PDEP standards. So just to sum up, SELead.org is very easy to use. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, go to SELead.org, register. We have user guides available on our effectiveness website that you see here on the screen. And we also have some other webinars that's solely focused on professional learning. The link is also showing on your screen. So thank you.
All right, we are so happy that so many of you have joined us for this webinar. And we want to encourage you to continue to stay connected to us. You deserve to know what's going on with the ADEPT evaluation and the support process. So we want to take a moment to show you that you have access to the same documents we share with districts. So here on this webpage is our web address for the Office of Educator Effectiveness and Leadership Development. We believe this site is a one-stop shop for all things related to educator evaluations and upcoming professional development in the office. So, look at the blue screenshot on the left. When you enter the department's webpage, you're going to click on Educators in the top bar and Educator Effectiveness from the drop-down menu. That will get you to our webpage. And on the right-hand side, here you see a screenshot of some of the feature boxes on our webpage that may be of interest to you. The communications box at the top row on the left is where we house all of our presentations and all of our written communication we send to districts and stakeholder groups. You are welcome to browse these resources to keep abreast of what's going on in educator evaluation. In the top row on the right, you'll find resources related to the overall expanded ADEPT process you've heard so much about today. And you'll find information for all contract levels and all educator types. This guidance may assist you if you have questions about the evaluation process and what you've experienced in your district. In the middle row, you'll find information about sclead.org and SLOs, as well as detailed guidance if you are a special area educator. On the bottom row includes links to induction and mentoring resources. So we want to welcome all of our induction teachers to this webinar. The bottom row also includes the professional learning feature box, where you can register for additional trainings such as the one you're experiencing today. We do not want you to be in the dark. You deserve to know what's going on with your evaluation and support process. Our office has been working hard to make sure we have transparent, clear communications for teachers. In the past, we've communicated to SCEA and PTSA quarterly newsletters. We've sent information to district coordinators. We've provided information on our website. We've attended local teacher forums, and we hold this annual webinar. But we also want to know if that works for you as far as content, delivery, and timing. We're using this webinar today to share info with you. But what other sort of strategies would you like us to use to make sure we can get information directly to you? What do you want to know from us? How do you want us to get it to you? How often do you want to hear from us? Please use the chat box. I'm going to sit quiet for a moment. Use the chat box to type your ideas about what you want to hear from the Office of Educator Effectiveness. How do you want us to get it to you in addition to this annual webinar? And how often would you like to receive direct communication from us? I'm going to sit quiet for a moment. Thank you, Teresa. That's one of the reasons why we asked that question. How do you want us to get information directly to you? Give us some ideas. Thank you, Chelsea. Email. Got it. Keep those ideas coming. We'll continue. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. We'll continue to share with SCEA. The website. Yeah. It's okay to be nosy, Nancy. That's good. That's why we put it out there. We want it to be of use to you. Email. Okay. We're seeing a trend here. Thank you, Teddy. Twitter. Great idea. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Amanda. Y'all keep typing in those responses. We read everything you submit to us in the chat box, so keep it coming. Facebook on PACE and Alternative Training. We hear you. Keep them coming. A big part of what we do in this office is listen to feedback from our stakeholders. Whether it's through informal feedback during trainings, webinars, or structured studies on the state's evaluation model, we care about what you think. And your thoughts about how the evaluation process could be improved and meet your needs is what we're interested in. So here's just a slide to demonstrate that we're serious about hearing from our stakeholders. Here you see a list of 3 of the more formal studies conducted on South Carolina's teacher evaluation system, of which the July 2016 study, it's kind of our seminal study, gave us data from 10,000 of you and your colleagues. That data helped us to select the SCTS 4.0 rubric, and it helped us keep the focus on what you asked for, providing immediate feedback after the observation, which we now know is the post-conference. Stakeholder feedback also informed the need for SLO trainings, you heard Ronnie talk about earlier, coaching trainings for evaluators and principals, which we offer, and a continued focus on pre- and post-conferences as a part of the observation cycle. So we wanted to just take an opportunity to show you that we do attempt to gather data on what we're doing, and we study that and integrate it into the process. So here's another opportunity for you to share your thoughts. Please help us, and we mean this, help us assist you by completing this feedback survey. We want to open the floor for questions, so you don't have to complete the survey right now, but after the webinar, and within hopefully the next 2 days, please take a moment and share your feedback with us. Dr. Howard has posted the link to the survey in the chat box. We will also, I think if you can click on the link within the presentation, perhaps that will take it to you, but you can always cut and paste the link that's in the chat box and complete that survey. We desperately want to know some specific feedback from you. So we're going to leave that up in the chat box, but let's open the floor up for some questions. Continue to type in the chat box. If we don't share an answer to your question in the webinar, know that we'll read and discuss your questions as a team. The team has gathered a few questions.
We have, Dr. Hartwell, do you mind clicking one slide back so people could see the survey link if they wanted to?
Yeah.
And then we've got a couple questions. We can just kind of tag team these. These are questions that come to us. So one is, what is up with the SLO timeline? It seems like my district's going really early with the SLO timeline. So can you share what the contract date is? And then I'll talk a little bit about how that works with SLOs.
The contract date.
Yes. The contract date is May 1st, right?
Yeah.
And so all of the evaluation conferences have to be completed before May 1st because that's when your contract has to be given to you by law before May 1st. And so we want your whole evaluation to be completed before then because we don't want there to be any transparency issues for any teacher in South Carolina. What that means is that some districts set deadlines much earlier for SLOs, and some of you were talking about the difficulty of having a semester-long SLO versus one where you have a whole year and you're really looking about how your students do when they have an even longer window. And I've had teachers talk to me who say, you know, that cutting off that time between May and June when I have students in school, I can see a lot of growth then because we're not necessarily worried about testing still. We can really focus on the learning. So we totally understand that and would encourage you next year when SLO time comes around, be an advocate for yourself with your SLO evaluator to set up an interval that you think and an assessment that you really think will work and will be meaningful for you. So if you've just seen semester-long SLOs are too short, talk to your evaluator about setting one that's a little longer, but also choosing an assessment that you know will be back before those deadlines hit in May. So it's not meant that it has to be the whole entire year because then cutting off a month really would be something difficult. But if you can think about where should students be by the time my SLO ends, that should be where you set your targets, not the targets that you'd have for them at the last day of school. Another question that we get is, where can I find resource videos for planning if I want to look at special videos that have to do, I teach in a STEM powered school and I want to see videos about project-based learning, or I'm working with special ed. You can search by either South Carolina teaching standards, or you can search by special interest. So you could search by special ed, or you could search by STEM in the professional learning library instead of SC Lead. So we encourage you to check that out, and that resource is available to you whether your district's using SC Lead with teachers, or whether they're only reporting their data through SC Lead, but they haven't gotten you signed up yet. So that's available to you. That's good advice. Another great question. I work in a CATE school, and there doesn't seem to be a strong connection yet between the South Carolina teaching standards and the work we do every day as CATE teachers. Or I work in special ed and I feel like my evaluators need to understand my special context as a special education teacher, because my students look different. My classroom planning looks different because I might have students who are actually working on different course content while they're in my resource classroom. That is absolutely something that we want teachers to be empowered to have that conversation both in the pre-conference with their teacher, but I think it's a conversation or with their evaluator, a conversation we should be having in PLCs, in department meetings. There needs to be an agreement on your campus. What does thinking and problem solving look like in a CATE classroom? What does lesson structure and pacing look like in my cosmetology class, which might be a 2-hour long block versus a 50-minute calculus class over at the regular high school We do have colleagues in other states who have implemented the standards that South Carolina used as the basis for their standards, and they are used in other states for multiple different subject areas. But what we've seen is as states have this evaluation process for longer, those conversations about what does this look like in a pre-K classroom, what does it look like in CATE classroom, what does this look like in my type of special education setting, those things become documented at the school level so that evaluators know what they're looking for. And as we have more time with the system, we would love to bring together focus groups of educators to also put together some of that guidance. So Dr. Hartwell and Beverly were together at a business conference, a business teachers conference earlier this year, and they were talking to teachers about just that issue and how to make sure that we can look for that. So those are great questions. Any other questions we're missing, team, that we need to bring out of the chat and onto the screen?
I think mostly we have friends that are really excited about becoming teachers. So where can we find videos, additional training for new teachers and stuff? So maybe Dr. Howard can share about the induction and mentoring program, because the new teachers do have that kind of support at the district level.
Absolutely. So I'll move so Dr. Howard can hop on the mic. But the first thing I'll say is that's awesome. Please tell all of your friends that we want them to be teachers too. If they're people that are excited about students, they're excited about education. It's a great profession. We're lucky to be in the state of South Carolina where we actually believe new teachers don't have to be ready on day one. They need some support. They need someone to guide them. So Kim can talk to you a little bit about that process here in South Carolina.
So essentially, all first-year teachers are required to have a mentor, and a mentor is just someone that's going to support you through your first year. As you move on throughout your teaching career, you are going to be evaluated, and your mentor is going to be that kind of first support system for you to help you through that evaluation. So whether it be with your SLOs or with what the evaluations are going to look like, observations, etc., that person's going to just be there to kind of hold your hand, give you some feedback, help you know what to expect. They've lived it, they've been through it. They've also been through intensive training on how best to support you. So that'll be that person that'll just help you and be that resource for you to get through that first year. Like the team has already shared, we have lots of resources available, not only on our website, but through sclead.org that'll kind of support you. And just really, the people around you are going to be really good resources for you. Use the people in your building as a community that'll support you through getting through evaluation. Any other questions from the team?
One question, Dr. Howard, and we can answer it together, is it's really hard to write an SLO when we don't give tests in my subject. So does my SLO assessment have to be a test? Does it have to be a standardized test?
Absolutely not. We really want to encourage teachers to kind of use something that is close to them. We want you to use real data that is valuable to you. So it certainly doesn't have to be any kind of norm or standardized test. It should certainly be something that you see as a need for your students and determine where your students are with that need and how you can help them grow. So absolutely not.
As an add-on to that, Dr. Howard, there's a question of what are your thoughts on district-wide SLO tests?
Looks like Lewis coming to that.
I am. Well, no, I'm going to come talk with you because I think, from my perspective, districts that have a district-wide SLO are trying to be supportive. From their perspective, I want to help a teacher not have to worry about digging in deeply, but that's also a little problematic. What are some things that are problematic about a district-wide SLO?
Well, I think that the students that we're working with are going to have differentiated needs. So I don't know that it's in the teacher's best interest to kind of focus on something that is that broad when we're talking about a variety of different students in a variety of different settings. What else could be problematic there, Lola?
I think part of it is we don't want the SLO process to be arbitrary. We don't want it to be disconnected from your practice. And so whether the district says, hey, you know what? We've looked at the data and we all need to focus on literacy no matter what we're teaching, or the district says there's some benchmarks that are really important to us. And so we all want to look at this assessment data together and how we contribute to it. I think the way to then own your part in that is to connect it to your students and what you do in your classroom, and that the growth targets that you set, the goals you set. And to me, one of the most important parts of the SLO, that reflection on how it connects to my professional goals. What part of the rubric am I working on for the students in my classroom? Because in Kim's classroom, she's really good at questioning. And so her kids are doing higher order thinking. She may have something different that she is focusing on to increase the literacy in her classroom. But in my English class, last time I got observed, my questions are it's me asking one thing, one kid answers. I might ask something else, another one kid answers. These one kids that are answering, it's usually the same kids. They're pretty academically prepared. They're pretty literate. I need different strategies as a teacher to reach my whole classroom. And so our SLOs, even if we're both targeting on literacy, and even if we're targeting the same literacy assessment, we might actually have very different SLOs.
Based on the needs in our classrooms, absolutely.
Earlier, I believe that we had a hand raised by Linnell, and I don't see Linnell around anymore. And we'll just make time to say we know that we're almost at 4:45. Many of you have been at school since before dark or before light. You've been here in the dark. So if you need to get home, if you need to go pick up babies, if you just need to think about what kind of nourishment you're going to have that is or is not out of a fast food line, we've been there, we get it. So if you need to sign off, feel free to. We're going to stick around for your questions, and just know we deeply appreciate your role in helping students every day. You have a really hard job that we think is a really great job, and we appreciate you coming and doing it as well as you do. Thanks for coming, Tanya. If this worked for you guys, maybe we usually do one once a year because we know y'all are busy in the fall and in the summer. But if you think we should add another one maybe around December, that's definitely something we can do, one in the winter, one in the spring.